Okay, well, this video is sort of like a second part dealing with stoichiometry. In the first part, we looked at what is stoichiometry, what is a mole, and how do you figure out how many grams there are in a mole. So in this video, we're going to be looking at changing moles to grams and grams to moles, and we're going to do a couple of example problems. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and say if I have 2 moles, let me erase this, let me go down to here. If I have 2 moles of water equals how many grams of water? This would be an example of going from moles to grams. Now, how would I know that? Well, this is where I'm starting, and this is where I'm ending. So I have to go from moles to grams. Well, in order to go from moles to grams, I'm going to have to multiply this out. So, let's say, but wait a minute. How would I know how to multiply or divide? That's the question. Well, let's go ahead. If we went ahead and said, all right, I'm going to need moles of water, and I need to end in grams of water. Well, one of the things I'm going to need, I need to know how many grams there are in a mole of water. So that would mean I'd have to look at however many grams of water there is to 1 mole of water. Okay, so that's what I have. And if I look at it, if I multiplied it all the way across, I'm going to erase this for a moment. If I multiply it all the way across, I'm going to get moles times grams, so moles multiplied by grams divided by moles. So my moles will cancel out. And that way I know, okay, if I go from moles to grams, I'm going to multiply. If I go from grams to moles, I'm going to divide. It's going to be the opposite. But I wanted to show you, algebraically speaking, why does it work that way. Okay, so some pieces of information. I need 2 moles of water. Okay, so I got 2 moles of water, and I'm going to have to multiply. Oh, wait a minute. How many grams are there in a mole of water? Well, I'm going to do a quick version of that. If I say that there is 1 gram to 1 mole of hydrogen, okay, and there's 16 grams to hydrogen to 1 mole of oxygen, then I add them up. So I'm going to have 18 grams of water to 1 mole of water. Now I already know that the moles will cancel out. Now, does it make a difference if it's moles versus mole? No, absolutely not. So that cancels out, and then I'm left with grams. So boom, boom, I cancel it out, and I go 2 times 18 equals 36 grams of water. And that would be my final answer. That would be, in fact, my final answer for this. So that's one example of that. Okay? Let's try another one. Let's go with another one. And I'm thinking, let's go with carbon dioxide. If I've got, oh wow, let's see, 88 grams of carbon dioxide equals how many moles of carbon dioxide? Now remember, a mole is a number. It's not a mass, it's a number. Think of it as dozens. Okay, that's a pretty key thing right there for that. So, how do I go from grams? Because this is, again, this is where I'm starting, this is where I'm ending. So I'm going from grams to moles. And typically I'm going to need to divide, but how do I know that algebraically? Well, if I have grams of CO2, okay, multiplied by, well, I need 1 mole of CO2 is equal to, well, how many grams are there in CO2? Okay. Well, how do I know? Well, we're going to say carbon is 12 and oxygen is 16 twice. So 16 plus 16 is 32. 32 plus 12 is 44. Okay, so I'm going to say 44 grams. All right, and I have 88 grams here. Now, the nice part about this is I don't have to memorize if I have to multiply or divide. If I get my units done right, I should be good. But, quick shortcut, if you're going from grams to moles, you're going to divide. In a way, it's like taking pennies and changing it to dollars. You're going to divide. Saying I have 1,000 pennies, woohoo, let's go to Ontario Mills, that's not going to work very well because 1,000 divided by 100 is a big whopping $10. So here we have 88 grams of CO2, and then we multiply it out, and you'd say, aha, but you're multiplying. Yes, I am, but if you notice, look where the placement of the moles and the grams are compared to up here for this problem. Notice the difference here, grams on the top, moles on the bottom. Here, moles on the top, grams on the bottom. That's the difference. Okay, so here, yeah, I multiplied straight through. Boom. Over here, I also am multiplying straight through, but in the end, I'm going to get 88 divided by 44. So I'm going to have 88 grams of CO2, okay, times 1 mole over 44 grams of CO2. I'm just multiplying out my units. Okay, and what happens? Well, my grams are going to cancel out, aren't they? Because that's what it's going to look like. It's going to look like 88 grams of CO2 multiplied by mole of CO2 over 44 grams of CO2. So I did multiply all the way through. I multiplied all the way through. I just rewrote what was red. I rewrote here in blue so you can see where the units are lying. And you kind of notice, well, the grams over grams, anything over itself is 1, it cancels out. So you're left with moles of CO2. Now again, notice I wrote the word mole. Does it make a difference if it's mole or moles? No, not at all. So 88 divided by 44 gives us a big whopping 2.0 moles of CO2. And that's basically it. Going from grams to moles and moles to grams. Okay? So let's recap. Let's do the whole thing. Okay? If I start out with 2 moles of water, how many grams of water am I going to get? Well, here's my start with moles. Here's my end in grams. So I know I have to figure out how many grams there are in 1 mole of water. Well, for each hydrogen is about 1 gram, and the oxygen is 16 grams, so we can add those up, and that gives me 18 grams. Okay, so there's 18 grams of water to 1 mole of water. Now that's a fixed ratio. That doesn't change. Okay? It's the same thing. If we looked at carbon dioxide, how many grams of carbon dioxide there is in 1 mole of carbon dioxide? It's 44. So the idea of moles, while moles are a unit, it is a number, okay? The grams to 1 mole of something is going to be different because it's based off of what the material is. So we went ahead, 2 moles times 18 grams of water over 1 mole, or per mole of water, and we end up getting 36 grams. We just multiplied it through. Notice how these moles cancel each other out. We're good. Then here, we looked, we went from grams of carbon dioxide to moles of carbon dioxide, and it says 88 grams of carbon dioxide times 1 mole of CO2 divided by 44 grams of CO2. You'd say, but how do I know which one to put up on the top or the bottom? Notice how your units need to cancel out. That's the key thing. That's when you know. And I multiplied it all the way out here so you can see this. This is the correct way. These grams should be canceling each other out, and we should be left with mole. That's it. Okay? So when the grams of CO2 cancel out like this, all we're left with is mole, and that basically is 88 divided by 44. That gives us 2 moles of carbon dioxide. So here you have it, being able to change from moles to grams, you multiply. And then going from grams to moles, you're going to divide. Hey, I hope this video helped you guys out. I'm going to do a third part dealing with actual chemistry problems. Okay? All right, take care.